truthfully, I know everyone is hearing the terrible news out of Israel, and everyone is going to have different perspective on this, which I realize, of course, because to look at this as just a simple issue would be ridiculous. I think it is, and I think all of us should feel it is tragic when any innocent civilians are dying, when children are dying, truthfully, whether it's the people who were held capture by Hamas, by Palestine, and that we're still trying to free, or the people that are being bombed, with Hamas using them as human shields. This is tragic either way. I'm not here to change anyone's mind. I mean, I have a great respect for the people of Israel. I will be the first to say I'm not the biggest fan of the prime minister who's been there just about my whole life, Benjamin Netanyahu. I had the opportunity to go to Israel way back in 2005, which I will always cherish. And I've always said that I would go back there at some point, and I haven't at this point. And I really hope I get to. But when you see stuff like this, it's like I hope there is something to go back to, because this cycle of never-ending war it's tragic and it's horrible, and there's not much more I could say. I'm not going to get on here and give you platitudes with no real meaning of who you need to stand with. You guys are educated. You know what's going on. You guys follow the news out of there. But what I wanted to address and what pissed me off, quite honestly, was that you guys remember we had a guest on the show a while back, Tariq Azim, and he was great, by the way, so no disrespect to Tariq. He suggested that we have UFC fighter Jake Shields on, and at the time I was like, cool, let's have him on, and I have his number, and I hit him up, and Jake posts a lot about conspiracy theory stuff on Twitter, or X, which quite honestly I have no problem with usually. I mean, dude, for the love of God, we had Alex Jones on the show, and you hear Alex Jones on every intro. But Alex actually does, despite some of the things he's gotten in a lot of trouble for, Alex does do his research on some of the things that he puts out there. Yes, some of the times turns out to be false. Many of the times he's ahead of the curve on things that we later learn, quite honestly. But I don't even think Alex would put out anything as outlandish as what I'm about to state. Jake, I have just noticed, is one of these conspiracy guys, even prior to everything going on, where everything seems to go back to Jewish people. And I am by no means one of these people who says if you criticize Netanyahu, which I just said I'm not the biggest fan of, or Israel and anything, that you are somehow an anti-Semite. But if every single thing that you tweet goes back to some conspiracy involving Jewish people, yes, I do think you're an anti-Semite at that point. And I'm looking at Jake Shields' tweet that pissed me off that I replied to about this from October 26th, which you can find at Jake Shields AJJ on X. Many of you are likely confused why American, he means America, is about to fight World War III for Israel, but this man is why. And then he posts a picture of Jeffrey Epstein. To say this pissed me off, I don't even know what to say about it, because I think people just write stuff on Twitter or X just to incite people. Does he really believe somehow that America is fighting on behalf of Israel for Jeffrey Epstein, a guy who's been dead? I know that there's some type of ties between Jeffrey Epstein and and special forces in Israel. And that type of thing. You could tie Jeffrey Epstein to a lot of people, quite honestly. I don't know if every single person who visited his island knew what he was engaged in. But I don't know, Jake, are you trying to tie every single Jewish person, Jewish American, and every Israeli to Jeffrey Epstein? And we're about to go to a war or be involved in a war where hundreds and thousands of civilians may die. And it's going to be tragic either way. This is somehow tied to, I don't know if you really believe that there's any tie to Jeffrey Epstein. I think that this is just what boosts your significance on Twitter and your followers and incites people. Because I've heard ridiculous theories. This makes absolutely no sense, and you haven't posted anything below that makes sense of it. And all I have to say is, man, when you post stuff like this, There's a lot of crazy people out there, and people may get killed by some of the stuff that you post, because there are actually a lot of idiots out there who will believe some of the stuff that you're writing. So, yeah, I mean, look, I'm a believer in total free speech, unless you're going to write something like threatening violence on someone out there. You can tweet whatever you want, but you should really think about this stuff first. And I don't think what I'm saying is hyperbole. It was actually Necro the rapper who pointed this out, but like Kanye West, right? All this anti-Semitic stuff he says out there. Kanye has more followers on Instagram than there are Jews on the planet. So, yeah, he has a lot of influence, and people out there hearing this, and like Jake, you have a lot of influence out there. And I really wish you would ask yourself, are you using this influence for good, or are you just using this influence to incite people and to bring more hatred? Like, what good does this do? Is there any... Do you have any facts behind these ridiculous theories that you're putting out there? And that's all I really have to say about it. That's all the attention I wanted to give to it.